Hello, brave art students. I'm back on my patio and I've got a couple of things here trying to figure out which one of these hats I'm going to use. What do you think? For our next project. Our next project is going to take us outside, and if it's a bright sunny day, you're going to need a hat. So that's one kind of hat you can use. Your hat will need to have a brim. This visor would also work because it's got a nice brim. That's kind of nice. I like that. This visor could also work. If you don't have a visor, you can use a baseball cap, or you could use a sun hat. This has a nice brim on it. Will keep the sun, kind of goofy ties here, but it will keep the sun really out of your eyes, which is important for this next project because we're going to be drawing outside. I have this hat. You can see I have a lot of hats. And I have this hat, which is a fishing hat. I like this hat because it's dark. It's got a dark brim and it creates a nice shade underneath. When you're drawing outside, you don't want to be wearing sunglasses because that changes the way things look when you're looking at them. So artists often will have a sun hat that they wear when they're out drawing or painting outdoors. When artists draw outdoors, they use the term en plein air. And en plein air means in open air. It's a French term, and it was used in the 1800s quite a bit when it was very popular for artists to go outdoors and paint outdoors. It's spelled this way, en plein air, even though that doesn't look like plain. It's pronounced that way, and it really literally means in open air. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do some drawing in plein air. Okay, so if you're going to draw plein air or paint plein air, we're all going to be drawing for this project. But if you really enjoy this, you can later on do a painting in plein air. You want to have the right equipment and you need some stuff. So I suggest some sunscreen, some bug spray, a water bottle, a low chair, or a blanket or a beach towel, or both. And then, of course, you've got to choose the hat that you want to wear while you're outside. Okay, so before we talk about papers and supplies, I have one more thing that I need to tell you. And that's really the main idea of our project. And for this project, as you know, we're going to work outdoors, but we're going to be observing nature very carefully. We're going to be using that studio habit of mind, observe. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between observe and reflect. Because as I see some of the answers to your questions, I see that there's a little bit of confusion about what is actually observing and what is really reflecting. So we're going to work outdoors, we're going to observe things in nature carefully. We're going to draw, and we're going to write about nature. We're going to put together an art nature journal. We're going to try to appreciate some of the beautiful and interesting things that you discover as you do this. It's really fun to be outside and explore and look around and see what's there. Lots of cool things outside this time of year. We're going to keep all of the drawings and all of the writings that we do in the nature journal. Your nature journal is going to have at least 5 entries. So you'll have several pages in it, and I'm going to show you how to put your little booklet together to use, like a little sketchbook. You'll have 5 entries, and every entry will have 2 pages. So you're going to have 10 pages of writing and drawing. And it sounds more than it is. It's really not a lot of writing. It can be if you want it to be, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm going to show you samples of some different ways pages can be laid out in your journal in the resource folder. So there'll be some photos there as well. So in the videos that are coming up, I'm going to show you how to make a simple sketchbook. You're going to put a title on it and your name, and you're going to date it. So we're thinking a little bit here like artists, a little bit like scientists who go out and observe nature, and a little bit like authors or writers who write about things. So we're going to spend, because we have all of these things going on in the project, again, this is going to be a 2-week project like our last project. And this time, because we're going to be writing in our journals and have a lot of writing there, we're not going to have a lot of questions to answer. There will only be a few questions, reflection questions, when you pass in your journal at the end of the school year. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make your sketchbook, show you a little bit, give you some ideas about the title and the lettering. I'm going to show you how I would like you to set up your journal pages, and I would like you really to stick to that format and set it up the way that I show you. And I'm going to show you those samples. Okay, so here we go. Let's start off with putting together our sketchbooks. All right, so for your nature art journal, you're going to need a sketchbook or a sketch pad, or you can make your own like I did. I'm going to use my own homemade sketch pad for this demo. So this is a little notepad that I made by stapling together about 7 or 8 sheets of computer printer paper. If you have art paper, you can use that. If you have construction paper, you can use that. It's okay if your pages are different colors. That's not a problem. I want to talk about the cover for a minute. Your cover is going to have a title on it. So here's one that I've started. I'm not finished yet. It says My Nature Art Journal. You can give yours your own title. You want to have the date on it. So I'm starting on May 28th, Thursday, May 28th. So it's saying from May 28th until, and I'm not sure when I'm going to finish. So I'm just going to leave that blank until I finish filling the pages. And I might finish them in a week. It might take me a little bit longer. I also thought that I would make my title look a little more interesting by using the graffiti letters that we worked on when we did those graffiti words. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit and see if I can make my cover be artful as well. So our whole book is going to be a combination of art and writing. Okay, so now my letters are looking a little more interesting to me. I'm going to add some color and keep going. Okay, so I've added some color, and I may be finished and I may not be. You know, I always like to add more, but I'm not going to add more right now. I might save that for the end. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to set up the pages in your sketchbook. So you have your title, you have your dates, and then you're going to open up and you're going to your first pages. Now these are the first 2 pages in my sketchbook. So I've already done my first entry. I'm going to come back to this and I'll talk to you about this in a little bit. But when you set up your pages, this counts as one page, this counts as another page. So you'd like to have like a full spread, and that will be one of your entries. So there's 2 pages here. I'm going to put page 1, and I'm going to put page 2 over here, P1, P2. Okay, and this is for entry number 1. You want to write down on each entry the date. So this is Thursday. I'm going to write that down. Thursday, May 28th, 2020, and it is noontime. So I'm going to write down the time of day. You can write down morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it happens to be. And it's a little cloudy out. I'm going to write that down too. Okay. And I'm going to use these 2 pages for that entry. Okay. Now I'm going to turn the page, and I'm going to write here entry. So actually, I'm going to go back here a minute. I'm going to write entry number 1. Okay, and I'm going to put a little arrow because both of these pages here count for entry number 1. And then I'm going to write entry number 2. All right, this is page 1 of entry 2 and page 2. Okay, and I don't know the date that I'm going to be doing this, so I'm going to leave this blank for right now. But each page, you want to have the entry that it is, and the date, and the time of day, and you can put the weather if you want to. Okay? I'm going to be giving you a list of prompts, drawing prompts or entry prompts, you could call them, journal entry prompts, with some ideas of what you can do or what you might want to look for or focus on when you go outside. So that list of prompts will also be in the resource folder. One of the drawing prompts is going to be to go on a texture hunt outside, and that really means to go around your yard or wherever you're working and look for things in nature that have different textures. And you don't have to do that prompt, but that's just the one that I'm going to show the example for. So what I did is I went out into my yard and I found some different things. I found this leaf, which I thought was kind of nice because it had a lot of texture on the back part of it. I found this dried out pine needle with an interesting textured stem. I found this leaf, and then I went right up to a tree and I put my drawing paper on the tree and I rubbed with my pencil on the paper to get the texture of the bark. And those are my different texture rubbings from things that I found in nature. Now, because it's a journal, we're also going to be writing. So what I did was, you can see I put the title here, the date, Thursday, May 28th. This was early in the morning, so I did this one before I started videotaping. And I gave it this page a title. You don't have to do that, but I thought I would. So I wrote Nature, Leaf, and Bark Textures. And I drew this little spider coming down. You can put little drawings on as well. I saw a spider outside, and so it made me think of doing that. I also saw a bunch of ants outside, so I drew them. These were the things that I noticed while I was out in nature. Okay, and I labeled things on my sketchbook. You want to do that so I know what you were drawing, and you can say something about it if you like. So here I have bark rubbing from a pine tree. It was tricky doing the bark rubbing. And over here I have hosta leaf texture. This leaf is a hosta leaf. It's a kind of plant. And this was easy. This was an easy rubbing to do. Okay, and then I wrote here, the hosta leaf rubbing is my favorite. I think it just came out really nicely. Okay, and this here says unknown type of leaf. Just found that. I don't know what it is. Okay, so this is one of the options that you can do for one of your journal entries. And you need to fill both pages. So if I wanted, I could have put more rubbings here or a combination of rubbings and writing, but I decided to write about kind of the things that I noticed and what I was thinking and whatnot. So I'm going to just read that to you real quick. I went out into my yard and looked for things that were natural, not man-made, that might make nice implied textures or textures that are hinted at, right? Because this is not real texture. I found a dried out stem with pine needles, a big hosta leaf, a tree with bumpy bark, and another leaf. It was interesting to see how the textures came out. The pine needles and stem were hard to do. The bark rubbing came out differently than I thought it would. It was nice being outside looking around. Some other things I noticed outside were some big black ants, a small spider, and lots of birds. There was a toad on my patio, which I hope I see again. He was kind of cute. Okay, so you have seen how to put together a journal, and you know you need to have a title on it with the date you start your journal and the date you end it. You know that you need 2 pages for each entry. You know you need to put the date and the time of day on, and you know that you need to put writing into your entries. You can have a lot of writing or some writing. That's up to you, but I need to know what each page is about and what you've done. Okay? If you use your own pre-made sketchbook, such as something like this, if I decided to use this for my sketchbook, I can't really draw my title on the cover, but you want to put a title page inside that would look something like this. Okay, so you still need an artful title page even if you have a hardcover or pre-made sketchbook. Next, I'm going to talk about going out into nature. I'm going to take a bike ride and I'm going to show you some of the things that I find and talk about how you might include those kinds of things in your journal.